All right, so today we've got a strap and a wall. That's what we need. So let's get going, and we're gonna start with the strap like we did last time and just get the shoulders warmed up. So you can stand or you can sit, whatever is preferable for you. Again, you'll take a wide grip and pull the strap apart. So if you didn't learn in the last class, I'll review exactly the actions we did. Make sure you're in an upright seated position. So you see how I'm kneeling right now, that works just fine. Or you can sit up on a block is also good. Or you can stand up too if you want to get a little more energy flowing. All right, so let's take the shoulders up. Now as you pull the strap apart, start to bend the elbows. And as you bend the elbows, what should happen, hopefully, is that your shoulder blades begin to retract. You see how my shoulder blades back there are moving toward one another as I bend the elbows. So we can hold here, pulling the strap apart. This is going to give a nice deep stretch. Also, all right, pull the strap apart, bend the elbows, reach back behind you. Now go all the way around. Okay, so if that was challenging, widen the strap. Don't force your shoulders to work too hard. Okay, so pull the strap apart. Again, we're just beginning, so you don't want to be straining anything. So wider strap, easier. Okay, bring it all the way out in front. Again, pull the strap apart, let your shoulders lift up to the ears, reach up and back. Just let your breath flow. Let's do one more. And release. All right, come over to the wall. Let's do our stretch at the wall. So hands on the wall, hands wide. Move the hips back and lift the armpits up. So instead of dropping them down, lift them up towards the sky. Then relax your heart down about halfway, whatever that is for you. And see if you can form an arch in your low back. So lift your sit bones up. And as you're doing that, keep your armpits lifted. Now, if it's possible to keep the armpits lifted, you see how the shoulders are lifted above the chest right now? If that's possible, start to very slowly lower the chest. But what's probably gonna start happening is, one, your index finger knuckles are gonna kind of pull off the wall. Put them on the wall. That'll start to force you to keep the armpits lifted. Keep the armpits lifted, and even maybe lift the heel of the hand off the wall. Softening the chest down, shoulder blades start to melt toward one another. One thing I'm kind of doing with my hands is I'm sort of pulling the hands down towards the ground in order to keep the armpits lifting up towards the sky.
And why that works is because you activate a muscle called latissimus dorsi. It's not the only muscle that's activated because your rhomboids are also activated, your upper trapezius, middle trapezius are activated. And that combination of muscle firing with intentional action here is going to keep the arms lifted, armpits lifted, allowing for maximum range of motion. Okay, and then come on out without compression in the shoulders. So just like the spine, we don't want to compress the joints here. And if you feel any pressure in this area here, that means the shoulder is compressing. It means the arm bone's popping downward. And the shelf here, called where the acromion process is, basically, it's like where your collarbone and your shoulder blade meet, create a little shelf. And where the arm bone meets that shelf, if the shelf goes down and the arm bone goes up, that's where you get shoulder impingement, because there's soft tissue between that shelf and the arm bone. And so we need to maintain space there. And so the only way to do that and actually get into that kind of extreme range of motion that we're working towards is to actually change the location of the shelf. Instead of keeping it down, to move it back behind you allows the arm bone to go back too. So it's not, you can't actually increase the distance. Let me put it this way. You can't continuously go past this point with your arm bone. So wherever that point is, if I keep my shoulder down, wherever that point hits, like that's where mine is, that's where my arm would stop, unless that shoulder blade and the collarbone move and change the angle so that my shoulder can now move as well. So that little myth about you keeping your shoulders down with your arms up and everything, that is just a problem, and it causes shoulder impingement, because naturally, if you take your arms up, your shoulder would rise. You never seen a kid go like celebrating, going like this, yay, like pull my shoulders down, reach the arms up. You know, it's like, yes, the shoulders go up. It's a natural human biomechanical movement that you want to actually celebrate, that is part of your potential, because it's what gives you your range of motion. It's what's allowing you to reach for that cup up there, you know, like at the cabinet, like go for it, you know. It also allows you to climb. You got to get your arm up higher. You're not going to pull your shoulder down and bring your hand up. So we need to kind of embrace that biomechanic. All right, let's get into the same posture we were just in, but now on the ground. So knees, you're going to come into this position here with your low back in an arched position. Bend the elbows and melt the chest down. Okay, keeping the armpits lifted, buttocks to the sky, trying to find a little softening in the spinal column. Let go of your abdominal muscles, just relax them for now. Armpits stay lifted, chest relaxes downward, and we breathe now. I like to breathe and think about, in the inhale, the whole front body expands through the belly, through the chest. Not outward, like not pushing my belly outward, but lengthening the distance of my front body all the way through the crown of my head, from pubic bone to top of head. Take 2 more breaths here. One more breath. All right, come to all fours, hands and knees, please. Let's take an inhale, arch the back and look up. Exhale and round the spine, gaze inward. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round, gaze inward. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round and gaze inward. Inhale, arch, tuck the toes. Downward facing dog, keeping the arch in the low back the best of your ability. Lift the heels up, point the heels right, toes left, bend knees, stretch left side of the body. Switch opposite side. Toes right, heels left. Stretch right side of the body. Come back to center. Right leg to the sky on the inhale. Step right foot forward. Left hand out to the left. Right hand on the thigh. Curl the heart open. Right hand behind the head. Pull the head back. Reach the right arm over the ear. Full breath into the right side. Full breath out. One more. Full breath in. And release. Inhale to plank. Pause. Let's get our core muscles fired up. Pull your hands and feet toward each other around the upper back. Pull your pubic bone towards your navel. So tuck your tail. One more full breath in. And release, knees down. Lower all the way. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, release. Shoulder blades together. Inhale, lift the heart. Lift the hands as well. Exhale. Heart, hands, and feet. Exhale. All fours. Let's revisit one of the first postures we really worked on in this immersion. You're going to take your left heel to the sky. Use your glute muscles here. So press the heel up and use your buttocks. Take your right arm, cactus shape. Right scapula pulls towards the spine. Take a full breath in. Lift everything up high. One more breath. And release. Let's try that on the other side. Take a breath in between. Keep the low back in an arch position. Right heel to the sky. Use your buttock muscles to really kick up there. Take the left shoulder blade and pull it to the spine so your chest muscles here stretch out. Now you see, as soon as I take my left arm up, my right hip drops, my right leg drops. So use the right buttocks, right glute muscles to lift and press the heel to the sky while keeping the left shoulder lifted. A couple more breaths. Get lifted, get tall, get light. One more. Inhale. And release. All fours, arch the back. Tuck toes if they're not already, down dog. Left leg to the sky. Step. Right hand to the right, left hand to the thigh. Pause here. Pull your feet toward each other. Curl the heart back. Maybe take your left hand behind the ear. Option to take the arm over the head. I have no room here. One more breath. And release. Come to plank. Let's get the front body toned and warmed up again. Pull your feet diagonally towards opposite hands and hands towards feet. Gently tuck the tailbone or pull your pubic bone towards your navel. It's a little bit better. It'll get your core active. Pull your ribs towards your pubic bone and just draw inwards so that the upper and middle back really round. One more for the core engagement. Pull the ribs in. All right, release. Lower down. All right, so let's take inhale, lift the heart, feet,
And hands. Exhale, release. This time, same thing, but we're going to interlace the hands behind the back. Shrug the shoulders to the ears and up to the sky. Reach the hands up. Inhale. Feet, reach back and up. Heart lifts up. Exhale, release. Switch the interlacing of the fingers, so other pinky on the outside. Start with the shoulders, up to the ears, up to the sky, reach the hands up. Inhale, lift the feet, straight legs, strong, reach back through your toes, lift the heart. And release. Slide the hands wide, let's do a 3-part cobra. Inhale, lift the front body. Exhale, soften. Lengthen the chest forward, bow it forward and up. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Bend your knee, open up your hip. Full breath in. Full breath out. Right leg straightens. Right foot forward. Place the back knee down. Please grab your strap. Okay, with the strap, bend the elbows, hold, move the hips a little forward without dropping or without collapsing in the hips. Okay, pull the back knee isometrically forward. So I hope you've noticed there's a difference between like move something forward and take an action. When you move something forward, this would be actually moving your alignment, moving your bones in a new space, right? Whereas trying to activate a muscle doesn't necessarily imply movement. So isometrically, no movement happens. You're just engaging in the direction of a movement. So by pulling my back knee forward, no movement happens, but it's like my back knee is trying to pull forward, but the floor is stopping it. So keeping that activation, actually move your ribs forward and pull the strap apart. Obviously the strap is holding you back from moving the hands apart. They're staying right where they are. Now lift the heart up. And if you can, straighten the elbows back behind you, if you can. Look up slightly. One more full breath in. And bend the elbows. Release the strap. You can just place it probably around your neck is just fine. Downward facing dog. Left side to the sky. Inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Full breath in. Full breath out. Straighten the legs, square the hip. Step right foot forward. Back knee comes down. And come on up. Again, so we're gonna move the hips forward, but then drag isometrically, no movement happens, drag the back knee forward. A little lift of the hips is okay as a result. That movement is good, okay? So just a little micro movement just as a result so you know that there's some strength happening there. Okay, keeping that, take the rib cage and actually move it forward. Pull the strap apart. Lift the belly and heart up. Reach the arms back behind you. Maybe lift the gaze. While we keep the low ribs and low back pressing forward, bowing the whole rib cage forward to the front of the yoga mat, still pulling the back knee forward to make sure there's a little lift. Lift the gaze, lift the heart. Keep pressing the ribs forward as you lift up. Keep pulling the strap apart. One more breath. Bend the elbows, release. come to all fours. And you can release the strap. Let's take the left leg to the sky. This time with your right hand, reach back and grab for the foot. If the foot is not accessible yet, then use the strap around the foot. Kick the knee up to the sky. Kick the foot back. So knee up to the sky first, foot back. The right shoulder, pull it back. So retract your right scapula towards your spine. Okay, let's do a lift to the heart. Gently slide your pubic bone, the front of your hips, back to kick up a little higher. And then lift the heart in opposition. And slow release. Now I'll make mention of it again. We talked about rotating the thigh bone in as you kick up. That doesn't mean your pelvis, stays closed. Your pelvis opens a little bit as the thigh turns in and kicks up. So they're contradicting movements that will really help you in the long run. They're hard though, because it takes a lot of strength building to get there. All right, right leg up. With your left hand, pull your right shoulder blade back, grab the strap or the foot. Okay, now open your right hip a little bit and kick your right knee to the sky. Then turn the right leg in as you kick straight up. I think about kicking through my ball mound or big toe of the foot. Slide, take a breath. Slide your pubic bone back. Now kick the knee up, foot back. Okay, once you have that, lift the heart up. And release. We take a breath in and a breath out. Arch the back, look up. Tuck toes, down dog.
Lift the sit bones up a little bit here, the best of your ability. Walk the feet to the front of the yoga mat. You can soften your knees, place the chest on the thighs as you interlace the fingers behind your back. Let the shoulders fall towards the ears and then retract them toward each other in the backside as you reach your hands overhead. If you'd like, you can re-straighten the legs. Mindful, you've already done some back bends, so you want to be mindful in your spine. You don't want to go too deep into a forward fold. You can be deep in the hips, but you don't want to be rounded a lot in the spine. So for some of you, keeping the knees bent will be better on the spine. That's what we're aiming for. Better on the spine. The hamstrings aren't as important at this moment. All right, hands to hips, arch the back, rise up to stand. Tadasana. Just enjoy a full breath in, full breath out. Bend the knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Halfway lift. Left foot back. Hands on front thigh, prepare. Back inner thigh strong, lifted. We're going to intentionally form a back bend. Arc the back and peel the heart up. Okay, you can take your hands and just encourage the lift. You see that? The lift of the rib cage and the abdomen while keeping the back leg strong. Take the arms into a cactus-like shape and nudge the bottom of your rib cage forward.
Lifting the heart up, start to take your gaze up. Optionally, reach the hands back behind you, keeping the hands fairly wide. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Exhale, bow, hands to the ground. Here's what we'll do. Straighten through the front leg, look forward. Hold here as you exhale. Get a little lighter on your fingertips, lift the chest a little bit higher. One more breath. And this inhale, bend the front knee. Exhale the down dog. Plank pose, inhale. Chaturanga. 3-part cobra. Inhale, lift. Exhale, soften. Bow the spine forward. Make that your priority. Then lift your belly up. Exhale, release. All fours. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Same leg, right leg up to the sky. Step forward. Push down, rise, high lunge. Open up, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Let's hold here. Draw the feet toward each other, full breath. Two more breaths. Okay, reverse warrior. Back to warrior 2, exhale. Let's continue a little more movement. Lift the right ribs up. Exhale. One more. Exhale, hands to the ground. Please step forward on the inhale, half lift. Exhale, bow forward. Hands to the hips, rise all the way up to stand. Tadasana. Okay, excuse me for just 1 second. I apologize. Somebody's at the door. Never mind. We are good. Come to chair pose. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Halfway lift, inhale. Right foot back. Here's our high lunge prep, hands to the front thigh. Firm the inner back knee to the sky. Slide the ribs forward. With the ribs forward, come into your cactus shape. Keep the arch in the spine. Now, puff up and pull up the belly and the heart, the chest, nice and big. Keep the weight forward, weight of your body forward. Stretch the arms back behind you without transferring the body weight back. That's the key, keeping the body weight forward even though the hands are going back behind you. Lift the chest, lift the gaze. One more, full breath in. And release, hands to the ground. Again, we're just gonna take a lifted straight leg, inhale. Lengthen the chest forward, look forward. Hold here and breathe. Keeping the heart lifted as we breathe. Gaze is forward. Inhale, bend the knee. Hands down, downward dog. Forward plank. Chaturanga. Slide hands and feet a little wider. Inhale. Lift. Again, priority, softening the rib cage down and pushing it actually forward to the front of the mat. As you lift the belly, the temptation is to lose that. The temptation is to push like this, to push back this way. You have to keep your chest in front of your shoulders and pull your heart through, like literally pull your hands towards you. So if you were not on a sticky surface, your body would go forward through your hands and your shoulders would stay back. Okay, imagine, sometimes I imagine there's like a nice little hand at the back of my mid back or low belly and pushing it forward towards the front of the mat and even a little down towards the ground. Okay, even press or reach from your front of your thighs back. Reach your pubic bone, thighs, and shins back. All right, and release. Come to all fours. I'm going to show you a down dog variation that I'm usually trying to get people not to do because people do it so unfortunately not good on the shoulders, but we've been really working up to this. We've been doing a puppy dog kind of experience, like a anahata asana, this thing where the armpits stay lifted. We did this at the wall. We did this to start, right, where the armpits are lifted. Now, if you can keep the armpit lifted, it forces the shoulder joints, meaning the scapula and the collarbone, to rotate properly so that the head of the humerus here doesn't collide into the soft tissue here. And I'm going to stress this. If you feel pain, pressure in this part right here, there's any sort of pain there, don't do this. You're doing it, how can I explain this? What's happening is for your joints is the collision course is there, meaning you're impinging your shoulder. So it's not happening the way that we want it to happen. What we want to happen is the space to remain, the space right here to remain, almost like you're just like holding, it should feel soft here. Now there's a lot of effort going on muscularly speaking, but in the joints, there's no push or pressure or intensity right there, okay? So I must stress that because it's super important. We don't want to impinge our shoulders. So the way we do that is we keep the armpits lifting. Okay, so by taking the hands quite wide. So watch, we can try Anahata Asana again. The shoulders towards the ears and then towards the sky as the heart melts. Even the inner shoulders, the part closest to the ear, is lifted. Okay, now all you simply do is do that in downward dog. I would love you to watch, not this. Don't press the armpits down like this, which most people do like that. They put the pressure right in the shoulders. Instead, armpits lift, spine melts. You see how this is fairly easy to be here with the armpits lifted. Of course, it's easy, meaning it's a big challenge for the shoulders to stay lifted. But once they're lifted, it's like the whole body will melt down. So I'd love for you to try that version of down dog, which most people use as their resting pose, but unfortunately they do it in a way that is typically really strenuous on the shoulders, and people start blaming chaturanga for their shoulder pain, but it's actually how they're doing down dog. So I want to make sure that if you're going to go into this variation, that you're doing it in a way that's not going to injure you. So keep the armpits lifted. I'll show you from this front angle too. It's going to feel like you're moving towards plank in your arms, while at the same time your arms are moving towards plank, your upper body is moving towards full wheel. Now don't aim to put the head on the ground, aim to keep the armpits lifted. Okay, this is a great place right here. This is intense already. Armpits lifted. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions on that. And if it feels painful, go back to just doing it at the wall and keeping your armpits lifted, because there's less weight at the wall when you're right side up. Okay, more weight is happening here, and I want to make sure that we progress appropriately for each of you. So if that was too much, go back, hands on the wall, or do the puppy dog, the little Anahata Asana, the heart opening variation where you're on your knees. Okay, I'll give you a couple moments to explore that. This is one that would be good for you to video and put that up in the Facebook group and let me see what's going on with your pose and make sure that you're on track. I think most of you at this point, with what you've learned, you're probably on track, but I do still want to be cautious and stressed that we're doing this properly. Okay, next, let's go back to down dog, regular down dog, where the chest is not dropped. Please take the left leg to the sky and step left foot forward. Rise high lunge regularly. Open up warrior two. I see your comments, so I'll get to them after we hold this posture, okay? Pull your feet toward each other. A couple more breaths. Three reverse warriors. Slide the rib cage forward, then up. Exhale. Again. Exhale, hands to the ground this time. Please step forward, half lift. Exhale, bow forward. Hands to the hips, arch the back, rise. All right. Okay, so come to your shins. Toes tucked, feet wide. Let me just go over here. With armpit lifted, my elbows are micro bending slightly. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. This feels great. Release for the upper spine. Great. Awesome. Okay, toes tucked. Left hand to the left foot here. And like this one, let's see. With your left hand to your left foot, left shoulder goes up, back, and around, and press. Really press your rib cage forward. Keeping that right hand behind the head. We're gonna pick up your right heart to the sky. So right chest up. Okay, so you're sliding the chest forward. Now, with your shoulder back behind you, push and lift up. Half camel pose. Your right rib cage is the part that's lifting the highest, should be the area where you feel the most stretch. Across your right belly, right heart. One more breath. And come back. Second side, right hand to right foot. Keep mixing those up. Left hand behind the head. Again, right shoulder up, back and around. Slide your left ribs forward. Get into the back bend before you even start. Remember, we start and end in the same position right here. So we start here, we end here, and then we'll release. Okay, so push down into your right hand. Press your left ribs to the sky. Keep the arc of the back. Look down at your left, to your right foot. One more breath. All right, hips come back. Okay, now last but not least, full camel, Ustrasana, hands to the heels. Same idea, shoulders go up, back, around, rib cage presses forward. Lift the belly up, pick it up, ribs up. Now, squeeze your shoulder blades toward each other as you push into your hands. Okay, so keep the chest as high as you can. Now, most of you, your chest will drop down. Pick your rib cage and belly up, away from your hips. Press your heart to the sky by pushing into your hands. Lean back, hips come back, back stays in the back bend until you're upright. Then release. All right, you can untuck your toes now. Moving right along, just kind of hitting all the postures or many of the postures that we've done. We're going to come into Wild Thing preparation. Right hand, right foot. Remember, the right knee is bent, turned out. Left foot is turned out. And we form an arc in the spine. Same shoulder actions, up, back, and around, rib cage. Okay? Left hand, you can form a cactus shape and peel your left shoulder back, or place the hand behind the head. Most of you are going to feel really good there. Okay, now move your weight into your feet. Use your feet, both of them, to push down and press the hips to the sky. Right shoulder blade is moving towards the spine, a little down the back too at this point. Couple more breaths. Use your legs, use your buttocks, push into your feet. And then bend your knees. Your butt is the first thing to touch. Still in an arch until you're upright, and then you can release the spine. Okay. You can do the back side, just give you a different angle so you can see what's going on. Step 1, step 2, step 3. You see, as I rotate my arm outward, the shoulder blade comes towards the spine more, and eventually it actually goes down the back in this position because the arm is more on a diagonal, but it's hard to explain. It's not so much down the back as it is the bottom wingtip, which is right here at the bottom here. Okay, that will actually nudge the heart forward. It's called downward tilt or posterior tilt of the scapula. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and that nudges the chest forward. Okay, so keep the shoulder back and around. Find a position where you can move into your feet and use them to press up. And the left shoulder keeps spinning outward. Hand behind the head. Use your feet. Don't forget about them. It's not just an arm balance here, but your legs, 2 of them are participating, so really use them. Use their strength. And bend the knees, move your weight into your feet, come down, hips to the ground. All right, doing well so far, everybody. We're kind of reviewing everything, not everything, much of what we've done, and just going to be preparing you for a couple of other poses to come later in this immersion. One of the poses that we're going to prepare for right now is King Pigeon, but we're not going to do King Pigeon, so don't worry just yet. We're just going to start preparing to get the body ready for it, which means we have to build strength and awareness. So the first thing to build awareness is place your right shin across the mat. Okay, now what most people do is they either sit into their right hip, yeah, usually that's what they do, or they kind of lean forward too much and put the pressure on the front knee. Lean back and keep the hips lifted. Okay, if we look at the side angle here, you're gonna see that neither of my hips are on the ground. Okay, that's what I'd like. Neither hip on the ground. But now we have to develop strength in the buttock muscles to stay lifted. So press your right shin and knee down until you can lift your hands up off the ground. Right, here it is. Now ribs forward. Turn the left ribs to the front and see if you can take your right fingertips back behind you, left hand to the sky. Right hand is just kind of supporting outside the right hip here, but you see I'm not using it, it's just down there. And I look down into the right. One more. Okay, and release. Step back and switch sides. Again, is it possible not to let your hips sink on the ground, like not do something like this, but actually lift them both up and then pull your 2 knees toward each other, press into your left knee, and that should give you the ability to rise. Press your chest forward. So you see there's a buoyancy, a liftedness, a lightness. Now, you're gonna take your right hand up like you're reaching for something delicious. Pull up the whole right side. Turn a little to the left. Your left hand is just like a feather on the ground, but pressing the right ribs to the sky. Move the low back forward. Okay, release. Switch sides again. And now let's do pigeon with a thigh stretch, which tends to be really hard. So there's two options. Option one, I would encourage you to try for, maybe use a strap, which would be lift up, same hand, same foot, okay? Takes a thigh stretch. If you can, bring it in just towards the outer buttocks there, and then turn your chest back to the center. Now, if that doesn't happen, you see my hips are still lifted. If that doesn't happen, then opposite hand, opposite foot is also okay. It's a bit easier. If possible, both hips lifted off the ground, thigh stretch, and press your left ribs here forward to the front of the mat. That's where really the thigh stretch is going to intensify, is when you rotate your spine forward to be more neutral. One more. Okay, release. Switch sides again. And if possible, again, same hand, same foot. Rotate. Rib cage forward. If that doesn't work out, strap is great, or opposite hand, opposite foot. Okay, and release. Come to your belly. Bow pose, Dhanurasana. Okay, and with bow pose, Dhanurasana, start with your abdomen as long as possible. Man, the button is really just pushing right in my bone. Okay, move the buttons out of the way of any bones if you've got buttons on your pants. One reason not to have buttons on your pants. Okay, so with your rib cage long, bend your knees, flex your feet, and then if possible, reach back and grab. You can grab the outer edge of the foot. If so, roll the hands to the inside so the thumbs face up and the chest opens. Again, I'll just mention a lot of people do this where they rotate all the way in and then it becomes impossible. Instead, grab the outer edge of your foot, rotate so your elbows face down, biceps face up. Now, kick your feet back. Sorry, don't do that. Kick your knees up, then kick your feet back. Take a breath in. Soften. So we're not going to our fullest extent. Turn the legs in. Inhale, kick the knees up, feet back. Exhale, soften. Again, inhale. Exhale, soften. One more. And release. Okay, we take a breath. A big mistake that most people make is they do too hard, too strong in a pose like that. And that pose is so subtle and so important to feel out while taking actions, to rest and readjust. Readjusting is so important in there. Your body will open up, but it takes a lot longer than most people think. So get long, because we're going against gravity. So you got to remember that. Against gravity, it's always going to require a lot more attention because it requires strength. Okay, grab the feet, kick the knees up, feet back. Soften. Again, those of you with any sort of elbow pain, use your biceps. Pull on your feet a little bit. Release. All right, normally I'd do 3 of those, but I really want to get to our final pose for today. So my suggestion, sit up, find a cool wall, place your hands on the cool wall or the floor to recover as something like this is fine, keeping your chest lifted as I demonstrate. Again, cooling the hands, cooling the soles of the feet can be really helpful in recovery so that your body gets ready. Okay, so now, while you're recovering, I will continue. Our peak pose today is a handstand at the wall, but with our feet on the wall. Okay, so let me just see here. Move this back just a bit. Yeah. We're going to be doing the same down dog position that we did with the armpits lifting. The same pose we did Anahata Asana at the wall here. So this whole thing, armpits lifting, chest relaxing, except we're going to put our feet where our hands are, hands where our feet are. Okay, so we're just going to flip it all. So you take your hands a comfortable distance away from the wall. Don't worry about how close they are. And all we do is down dog at the wall. So you start with down dog and you take one foot any height up, shoulders up to the ears and rise. Now, if you want to go a step higher, you can go a step higher. Next step is to keep your shoulders to your ears, but to move your chest a little to the wall, creating a gentle arc. Now, if I was teaching handstand, I would say never do this, because you see the back bend would cause an issue in a handstand. Shoulders to the ears, heart a little to the wall. But for doing some sort of back bend variation, like scorpion, it's a great idea, okay? So we're gonna start to open up. Now only stay as long as you can keep your shoulders to your ears. If you start feeling pressure in your shoulders, come down. It means you're starting to drop the shoulders away from the ears, and that's putting pressure in the glenohumeral joint. I want to maintain that space, so really pushing and just softening the chest. And if you can think about getting the armpits back while doing so, that would be amazing. See, I noticed that if I ask how I'd like to feel, I try let me see. Hold on one second. I can't read that whole thing. I notice if I ask how I'd like to feel, I try a little less hard, and a pose like Dhanurasana goes much better. So the reason that's the case, Kristen, is because it's not that you're trying less hard, it's you're trying less hard in the areas that you do not need to be trying in. So a lot of us put over effort in the wrong places. That's why I say in Dhanurasana, you rise up, right? And then you soften. And you follow what this technique I used to teach a lot, and I'll bring it probably back into this immersion. It's called the wave, where we do a wave of effort and then we release that effort. And we just did that in Dhanurasana without me telling you what it was. I said, kick the feet back and up, rise, and then soften. Rise, kicking, on the inhales, you rest. So the effort needs to be in the right spaces for anything in life, right? The right leverage at the right points creates a lot of, let's say, increases the results and increases the intended outcomes, hopefully. But the wrong effort in the wrong places, right, it creates results, but not the ones that we're necessarily trying for. So a lot of times with back bends, the biggest thing is most people are over efforting in the wrong places. That's why I'm always this bowing technique that I'm teaching you this whole immersion is to release the spine and push it forward, to move the spinal column forward. Whereas if you try to pull it back, extension of the spine is, I guess, sort of the same, but it causes a lot of compression and pain in the back bend because it's the wrong effort the wrong way. So yeah, how do you want to feel is a great question to ask. That's what I usually teach the entire class if I'm doing a workshop. So if that's working for you, stay with it. So let me know how your handstands are going at the wall, and I can do another one for you. Some of you might feel like you want to lift one leg up as well. That's also okay. It's not necessary, but I can anticipate that some of you are already doing it, so I will share it. But remember, there's nothing behind you to fall into, so you want to be grounded on the wall. Okay, so we have down dog at the wall, shoulders to the ears. Here you are. Armpits back without dropping the shoulders like this. Shoulders up. And you move your chest through your shoulders now. You could take one leg up, but remember, as there's nothing behind you, so it's very easy to lose the weight of the foot on the wall. Okay, so go very slow. Only if you feel like, take it 1 inch, another inch. Remember, there's nothing behind you. Stress that. So really pay attention to the foot that's on the wall. Sometimes people take that top leg and suddenly start somersaulting and didn't realize. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. And that's our pose for today, which is a nice preparation to open the chest, open the shoulders. In many ways, it's similar to the pose if you take one leg up. It's similar to the back bend we did last class, which was full wheel with one leg up to the sky, just maybe not as extreme in the hip joints, but perhaps could be just as extreme in the chest, the spinal column. All right, so I'll let you continue, or if you're ready to cool down with me, I'm going to take the right shin across the mat. You can either stay lifted, or sometimes it's nice to bow to the left. Get a little more range of motion out of the hips without having to get deep into the spinal column. I like to stay lifted after deep back bends. Let's get to the other side. So Dina's asking a question. In Cobra, when you say heart forward, as you pull with your hands, could you elaborate on the shoulder blade position? I understand they are retracted, but are they also drawing down and back? For most people, Dina, I'm going to suggest let them be upward towards your ears, and you're going to have more range of motion. That way, if you pull your shoulders down, it's likely to limit your ability to retract. It's likely to limit your ability to get into spinal extension. It's not that you can't or that it's wrong. It's actually totally fine, and it can be great if you know how to move properly, but most people won't. So my suggestion is let your shoulders go up and back, okay? You can try just sitting up. Like if you're here, if you pull your shoulders down and pull them back, you won't have much retraction. If you pull them up and move them back, you're gonna find that you have much more retraction. Your pectoral muscles will be stretching a lot more, and as a result, your spine will likely fall more into a back bend. So up and back. Now what really happens is something called downward tilt. The bottom wingtip of the scapula, it pushes the rib cage forward, and that feels like a depression of the scapula. It feels like you're moving your shoulders down your back, but really it's just tilting the scapula, or it's really the scapula is pushing into the rib cage and causing the rib cage to go into spinal extension. So some of the same muscles that do depression of the scapula will be active when you do that. But because the rib cage is moving and not the scapula moving, it gets a little confusing for us. Okay, everybody. I can show that cobra one more time. Some pain in your right thumb. Yeah, so in that case, you might want to use blocks and palms on the blocks instead of fingers. But yeah, there's ways to learn how to strengthen, you know, the muscles of your that attach to your fingers, your forearm muscles and everything. And it takes time to build that up because a lot of people are putting, you know, too much pressure and whatnot. So if it doesn't work to have your fingertips, then use your palms. But, you know, it just makes it a little bit harder on the spine, but it's totally possible. So use the palms or come, or you can see if your thumbs are the issue, use more of your other fingers. See, my thumbs are not even on the ground. But I'm gonna show you shoulders down. Here's shoulders down and back. It totally works. But shoulders up and back. It's gonna be, this is up and back. This is down, and it's gonna push into my low back a lot more. Up and back. It's gonna give me more of that softening, okay? So, you know, it really does make a difference. This handstand was awesome. I felt so strong even if I was very tired in my shoulders. Great, Karina, nice to hear that. Okay, everybody. After your pigeon poses, let's come on to the back. Here's something you could do. So you take your hands around your right knee. Press your knee into your hands. So better to keep your spine in that arched position and let it slowly come back to its natural state. Now, I do know that some people feel a lot of anxiety after practicing back bends, like too much energy is uprising, and it's very hard to come down enough to rest in Shavasana. And so you might require a longer cool down, and then, you know, pigeon pose, something like this here or there, and then a down dog, maybe a lizard on blocks with forearms on blocks, because with the forearms on blocks, then you don't have to go too deep into spinal flexion, and then you slowly work your way into spinal flexion over the course of like 20 minutes. But, you know, by that time for us, we would be in the 2-hour mark. Okay, release. If you want to do an even pose, which is usually recommended after that, or after anything really, before you go to Shavasana, you can do both hands for a moment, pressing the knees away from you into your hands. And I like constructive rest as my Shavasana, especially after back bends, or oftentimes after hip openers as well, because of the internal rotation of the thighs. But after back bends, for me personally, and I'm not sure what your experience is, but it keeps my low back in a gentle arch. It doesn't flatten it. And then allows the body to come back to its neutral state. So you could even do something like this, constructive rest, and then do a cool down afterwards. So you can use constructive rest as spine come back to neutral. Tadasana is also a way to let your spine come back to neutral. Just basically want to get into a position where your back is in its natural curvature and you're not putting pressure on your spine. Sometimes, like laying in Shavasana, the pull of the psoas for some people will be too much, causing the pelvis to maybe go into anterior tilt at the more weak vertebra. That might be painful for some people. By weak, I mean mobile vertebra. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Awaken your fingers and your toes. Stretch your arms. Roll over to come up. Take a moment to observe how you feel. Place the palms at the heart center. In honor of this body, the breath that pulses through it, and everyone that's passed this practice down to help me get to know it, we bow in towards everyone and ourselves and each other. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice, your efforts. Namaste. Okay, just going to answer some questions in the chat here, and maybe it'll be helpful for those of you that are listening in. Okay. Thank you, Meg. Enjoy yourself. Have a great day. Sibui says, Matt, I struggle with the handstand at the wall. Couldn't push the shoulders closer to the ears and felt all the weight in the heel of my hand. It was too difficult to move the chest to the wall. Great. Okay, Sibui, good reflections. So, shoulders to the ears, the best way to strengthen that is in your down dog. In every down dog, instead of resting, which a lot of people do, you want to build strength in your shoulders so that instead of resting, it's not a resting position. A resting position is one in which your body doesn't have to engage muscles. So like sleep, resting is laying on your back. Down dog is actually a very active position, so always moving your shoulders to your ears in downward facing dog. This will help develop the strength of your trapezius muscles, your serratus anterior, and over time, it'll allow you to put more weight on top of them, such as doing a handstand at the wall. Okay, that's step one. And when you do that, when you go through step one over and over and over again, then the heel of the hand pressure that you feel will eventually dissipate because the push power from your shoulder goes all the way through your wrist and presses into the metacarpals here. Okay, so it's a push, just like shooting a basketball, goes all the way through the hand, from the shoulder to the elbow, triceps, forearms. Okay, so focus on your down dog. Emily says, thank you, Matt, for another great class. See you tomorrow in the tint class. Oh yes, tomorrow I have the tint class. Kristen says, thank you for the explanation on over-efforting on the shoulder impingement. You're welcome. No pain anywhere. I have an awesome, oddly open spine. Cool, Kristen. Congratulations on that, and happy for you. I'm sorry, I wish I knew the correct pronunciation, if it's Michael, or Mitchell. Thank you so much, bud. Nice to have you here. Nikki, welcome. Thank you. And you're also welcome, Dionysia. Thank you so much. Debbie, thank you very much. Have a beautiful day. Eva, thank you. See you soon. Eva, Eva. Both of you are commenting at the same time, making it hard for me. And thank you for a lovely class. Have a great rest of your day as well. All right, friends. Stay well. Enjoy yourselves. Feel great. Lots of love.